welcome to the Phoenix Rise podcast. We have got an amazing guest today. I'm so excited. You are gonna freaking love this episode because we were just chatting for like 10 minutes before and already I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. Mariel, please do introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mariel. I'm the CEO of the Millionaire Mindset, and I love, oh my gosh.
You're like,
What?
what am I saying? What do I love? Everything.
Oh my gosh. So I'm the CEO of the Millionaire Mindset, and I help people with their identity. I help people scale their business. I've helped people in corporate, brick and mortar, and online for a very long time now. I used to own my own brick and mortar business that was in finance and insurance, and I scaled it to 8 figures in 4 years. And I sold it because it was no longer my passion. I realized I was watching people online living out their dreams, being able to like travel and do all the things where I'm like having to be in my corporate office or my office when I open the brick and mortar. And I'm like sitting there all day going, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. This isn't what I love anymore. And so that was like the end of that era. And I decided to start opening businesses online so that I could get out of that too. And I ventured into drop shipping. I ventured into online boutiques. I ventured into a lot of other things. And then I realized it's not about the strategy. And it was never about the strategy. The strategies in all of my businesses were always so simple. It was always about who I was being behind the scene. And so that's why I started the Millionaire Mindset, because it's like you can do anything. You can literally do anything because you're the creator. It's up to you.
I love that so much. And there's so many places that I want to go with this. But before we start, what I have started doing with our guests on season 2 is like giving a little snippet of your take on the millionaire movement, which is something that I'm really passionate about creating out there. And I'm just putting it out there. I am claiming my 7-figure year, right? I'm not in it yet. I am absolutely claiming it. And part of my passion is really removing the shame and stigma around women wanting wealth and empowering them to step into it and claim it as their birthright. And obviously you, as the 8-figure CEO, I would love just a couple of like snippets from you about your thoughts around that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that anyone has the ability to become a millionaire. Like, my story is very interesting because I went from a 6-figure salary to a 6-figure month in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, like I said, it was because I decided like I am inherently wealthy. Like it's your birthright, like you're saying. And behind the scenes, I had done years of work with a mentor to get to that point where I could hold that amount of wealth. But it's literally about realizing that all you have to do is create from your heart, and your creations, your imagination, your ideas are the value. Like money has no value. It's you that has the value. And when you put your creations out there, if you're constantly moving the momentum part, right, you're going to create money in your life. You're inherently worthy of it. As long as you're being authentically you, and as long as you love what you're doing and you're creating from the heart, and your mission is to help other women or other men create their dream reality too, based on your unique method that they connect with, you're going to be wealthy. I mean, it's your birthright. It's literally why we're here, to walk each other home.
Your energy is your frequency, your currency, right? It's like you say, we're all born with that same inherent, what is the word? Inherent worthiness.
Inherently worthy, yeah.
It sounds good in my head. I love that. So, okay, where I'm feeling pulled at the moment is I've heard you mention a couple of times now that you were working with that mentor, like in the beginning stages before you kind of set off on your own. And I know you mentioned that if you had not done that, you would not have been able to hold the wealth that came to you really quickly after that. I would love to dive into that a little bit and just kind of pick that apart as to what led you to working with that mentor in the first place. Because obviously you were employed at the time, right? You were working as a as a
Right.
employee. So, like, what made you even get a mentor at that stage?
So someone that I knew, a good friend of mine, he owns a lot of businesses in Florida and New York and California. And I met him out one night a long time ago. And so we stayed friends. And this was one of his best friends who then I just really vibed with. And he's not a mentor to people. Like we just became really good friends. And I told him like my dreams and stuff. And he like saw something in me, almost like took me on like a
Picked
little
you under his
sister.
wing.
Yeah, and he really opened my mind to reality. Like I've always been really open to like reality is not really what we think it is kind of thing,
Yeah.
but he really opened my mind about money essentially and about like that you can create anything. And so for the 3 years before that, he was in my life just kind of like explaining really in depth about wealth. Like and it's not something that you can just grasp overnight, right? Like we all have a money story that we're holding on to. And so he walked me through like all the steps that he's done to create, he's a 10-figure earner. And so like listening to his stories and normalizing, getting in the room and normalizing that kind of money, like we're out at lunch and he's talking about a $43 million business that he just sold via text message, like while we're at lunch. And it's like,
Mm,
if you can get in the room or in that person's world that's experiencing these things, it just becomes like, oh, okay, so it's normal. And
yeah.
then like the money is energy thing, it's your currency. And just really just opening my mind in different ways about how it's created. And like you have to give money something to want to be in your life. Like
Mhm.
money is inside of you, but like your creations are the thing that makes money stay in your life. And so
Yeah.
if you're not giving that out to the world and you're not using your gifts, your godly gifts, it's not going to stay.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
once
Because you
you,
have to be giving something to have it in return, right? Like
right.
it can't just flow your way without any kind of the law of God, I can't speak tonight. The law of reciprocity.
Yeah.
Like we have to have that balance.
Right. And so just like, being in that room, that energy, right? Like it's about obviously you need to know strategies, you need to know marketing, you need to know all the basics, the foundations. But
Mm,
once you have that, that's like 10% of this. That's the easiest thing. Like you could come to me and I'm sure people could go to you with any strategy, any idea, and it's like, okay, cool, great. That's
yeah,
easy. We
yeah.
got this. But who are you being? And it's like it was changing habits. I stopped drinking. I stopped
Mm,
eating certain things. Like I grow a lot of my own food. Like I started becoming a different human.
mm,
And a lot of people fell out of my life because of it. They didn't want to accept the new version of me. And
yeah.
so, I was 23 when I opened that business. And like it was hard letting go of a lot of people, but it's just I couldn't even hold on to with the frequency I was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love them and release them. And if they want to come back, cool. But
Yeah.
it's like what you have to do. And when I opened that business, that's why I blew up so quickly. But I also, like we were talking about, had a situation happen with the company that I opened it with where I had money trauma come up because they had overpaid me and I had to pay them back $1 million. And that was like a whoa moment in my life where I was able to do it, thankfully. But at the same time, it's like, even when you've never had money trauma before, it was like a boom. And
Yeah.
it's like, why did I create that? What did I need to learn from that? Because,
Yeah.
like, obviously, I'm creating every situation.
Yeah.
And so that just made me so much stronger in terms of like the way I can help people and like see their gaps and see their energy leaks in their personal life and their business and like the identity they're operating from. Because the identity I had to become to hold that, it was a lot. It was like a lot.
Yeah, yeah. How did you navigate that? That like, even for me listening, I'm like, yeah, that's hard to comprehend when you haven't experienced that level of frequency. So, how did you navigate that? And what was the lesson in it for you? What did you take away from that?
The lesson is that nothing is promised, the lesson is that money is not real. It's just energy. It's not yours. Like there's no value in it. Like I just sat there and I'm thinking, I owe you $1 million. Like it was just such a weird moment, you
Yeah.
know? But like I was going through the 3D problems, like, do I
Yeah.
need to get a lawyer? Do I
Yeah.
need to like sell this? What do I need to do? But then like I was like, I have to realize that like I need to put my creativity into other things too that are always going to bring me more because money is always here for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I dipped my toes into, okay, now let's start other businesses. Like, let's get out of this
Did you
eventually.
feel like it was kind of telling you that you had all your eggs in one basket and you needed to kind
Yes.
of expand your? I feel like so many entrepreneurs have that where we've been so kind of drummed into that you need to focus and you need to, stay niched. Obviously, the niche, the buzzword in the industry. But I also feel like there's a wave happening at the moment when more and more people are opening up to being multi-passionate. And
Yeah.
I, like you, have been multi-passionate for quite some years. So I think, we're kind of ahead of the curve with that. But I'm noticing a lot more people now opening up about it. And it's kind of like this dirty little secret. It's like, I'm coming out, I'm coming out of the closet, like, and I'm admitting that I'm multi-passionate. But I mean, for me, I love it because it means that I get to, whatever my energy is feeling in any one day, like I can go and put my corporate hat on and boss up and, have that kind of identity. And then I can go and be like packing crystals, or then I can go and be coaching someone or speaking on a stage. And I just love that variety. And it enables me to channel my energy and just flow wherever it wants to flow rather than being kind of
In a box.
restricted. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it's like I think giving yourself a permission slip to take
Mm,
yourself out of the fucking boxes because I feel like it's almost like in the beginning of mentorship, I feel like a lot of people reach out constantly for, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And it's like eventually you get to the point where you're like, no, I can do this. I am not in a box. I am multi-passionate. I can
yeah,
do whatever I want. And like I can be the spicy person. I can be the audacious person, the bold person, but I can also be calm, cool, collected, and
yeah,
zen and like hold your hand if I need to.
yeah,
And I think it's allowing yourself to be all that you are and showing that to the world. And like, I think that's another reason too why maybe one of my favorite things is close proximity mentorship. I love my one-on-one people. Like, I
yeah,
want to talk to you all day. I think it's so, I want to like help you expand and grow. Like, and so I think like that's part of it too, because we get to learn each other's like personalities and quirks. And like, that's why we're here is to like we're here for the people.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's yeah, it's taking yourself out of the boxes and allowing yourself to just exist and be who you are and finally like breathe. It's like this weight lifted off of you when you can just be who the fuck you are. And like you get paid to be you when you
Yeah.
finally can be you,
I love that so much.
So
And I think, something just came to me then, and I was like, I wonder if it's a thing because I'm just thinking about my kind of similarity to your story as well. And it just makes me feel like a lot of entrepreneurs out there, we kind of start in these normal businesses, whatever it is, like brick and mortar or corporate or, the kind of traditional business that we used to kind of be told that's what you should do. And then we kind of venture out and we dip our toes. And I feel like, well, all the ones I know anyway, they all end up in mentorship at some point because it's kind of like you then take all of your life lessons and everything that you've learned, everything that you've experienced, and then you get to a point where you just want to give back. And you're kind of like, I've earned my badge, so to speak, and now I want to help other people do the same, but without all the shit that I had to go through, because I can like remove some of that for you, not all of it, but we can help bridge that gap for sure. And I feel like yeah, it's kind of like a rite of passage almost.
yeah, it's like we're walking through the fire and carving our own pathway to walk others home easier than we
Yeah.
had to go through. You know what I mean? And it's like on our way through walking our way home, you know, we're constantly like battling our own limiting beliefs and like these stories. And it's like we get our energy back to ourselves when we stop telling ourselves all these stories and like the why we can'ts and the excuses and all that. And when you take all of your energy back, you have so much more energy to like put out in like getting to your destination, which there's never really a destination, but quicker to then like guide other people at easier. It gets easier when you like start releasing the things, the stories, the old identities, the limitations, and yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So what would you say, like, let's go into identity a little bit. So what would you say are like the main things that you had to release or that you've changed to get to where you are now from, let's say from six figures, right? Because a lot of people kind of stagnate at like the early six figures. So what shifted from there to where you are now?
So, it's a lot of little things. Like, I mean, I can go on all day about what I shifted. It's my beliefs that I shifted about what I can and can't have. It's the conviction in myself. It's I purged externally my whole house so many times. I went through shifts where I'm like, why I don't like these clothes anymore. I need to get rid of all my clothes. I need to buy new things. This is not me. It was like, for example, I only drink like certain water in glass. Like I'm weird about, like I have an alkaline machine. It was about the food I eat. It was about just realizing a lot of things about the world and like just having a new standard of living where I'm like, this can't come with me to this version of me. Like this version of me goes to Pilates every day.
Yeah.
This version of me runs every day. This version of me drank. This version of me still participated in conversations to people please that I didn't actually want to participate in. Now I'm like, absolutely not. We're not having that conversation. I'm out. Like this version of me was scared to say no to going on trips with friends or doing things or going out with people. This version of me doesn't want to do that. Like I have no desire to do that, you know? And it's literally shifting almost everything in my life. It's wild how much I changed overnight, essentially.
Wow.
It's like you kind of have to.
Mm.
You really have to. And it comes with taking yourself out of the boxes. Like taking myself out of every little box that I ever put myself in and just being who I've always been, you know, who I've always meant to
Like
be.
coming back home to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. There's a story that I like to tell because it was like when I very first started in self-development, well, myself, and you know, I was having coaching and kind of figuring all this stuff out, and it was new to me. Like I'd never even heard of like mindset stuff before. And so I started the journey and you know, you do the visioning and you kind of figure out who you want to be and this kind of stuff. And I remember one of the habits that I knew was not going to go with me into my next chapter was my breakfast, right? Because I used to eat Cocoa Pops. I don't know if you guys have them over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was such a like a habit, you know, it was just an ingrained habit that I just like every single day, didn't even think about it. And like they were big bowls. It
Yeah.
was not great. But I knew that the future version of myself, she went for a walk in the morning. She had like an orange juice, a cup of tea, an orange, maybe some toast. And so it took me a little while because obviously it's a habit and you know, you want to go back to it. And so it took me a little while to stop it, but I finally made the decision. I was like, right, I'm going cold turkey, no more paper, so I threw them all out of the house. And I never touched them again since. But it's like these tiny little things that from the outside, people are like, what the fuck, why are you talking about Cocoa Pops? And it's like, it's not about the Cocoa Pops.
It's not.
It's about like the meaning behind the Cocoa Pops and, you know,
Yeah.
where that leads to. Because I think so many people get caught up in it's kind of hard, I guess, for them to conceptualize. But if you are doing things now that your future self does not do, there is no possible way that you can become her because you're still holding on to those things that she doesn't have. It's an impossibility.
Right. It's like the simplest thing, but it's the hardest thing. Like another thing I did was I started getting up at 4 a.m. Like I
Ooh,
have to I romanticize my morning so I have so much space to hold for
nice.
people. But it's so simple. It's like if you want to live a life of unlimited wealth, then you have to become unlimited wealth now. You have to become that identity now. And
Yes.
it's the habits. Like you're saying, it's not the Cocoa Puffs. Like it's it's literally the habits, it's the discipline. It's telling the universe, God's source universe, like I am willing to, I want to receive more. So I'm willing to take on more responsibility and be more disciplined. It's
Yeah.
showing the universe that you're ready to hold that space
Yeah.
for the people and for that new identity. But like it's doing it, it's actually doing it, and people don't want to do it, they don't want to shift, and until they're ready to do it, it's like I don't know what to tell you. You have to
Yeah.
do these things. Like in your mind, what does this version of you do? It's different than what I do. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're a night owl, be a night owl, cool, work
Exactly.
during the night. But like it's what does that look like for you? And then like create them. This is the Sims video game. What are like,
Yes.
like create your freaking character and be
Okay, so what I want to ask you is because I'm just thinking about like people listening to this, and let's say that they're in the position where they're not hitting six figures yet, and they're probably listening to us and they're thinking, okay, it's all very well, when you've got the money to say,
yeah,
do this, do that, but I'm skint, or not that I'm skint, they're probably not skint, but maybe they're thinking that they're skint. So if they're in
right,
that mindset and they're like, I can't afford to go and retrash my whole wardrobe, or I
right.
can't afford to go and get, a six-figure mentor, or all of this kind of stuff that they're probably having blocks around. What do you say to them? Like, how do they get started? Let's say if the money is not in the bank at the moment.
Right. It's shifting the smallest things. Like we all started with, different amounts of money, right? Different means to shift. But there's people that have the stories where they were literally broke and they became a millionaire, right? And so it's going on a walk is free. Join the cheapest gym that you can and just be in that energy. Like do what you can, like shift your eating habits a little bit. Like spend the extra, I don't know, 20 cents dollar on the organic, like on
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes. And if that's hard, then like just shift whatever you think that you can, get up earlier, like put energy towards what you actually want to be doing. There's so many free things that you can do. And I'm sure there's things in your wardrobe that maybe you haven't worn in a long time that like you're like, "Oh, that's what I want to wear. So I'm gonna start wearing that now again." Like
yes.
let's move
Yeah,
things
like
around.
that thing that you're saving for when you go out for a special night.
Right. Wear
It's
it
like
now.
start, yeah, exactly. And that was something actually that I started doing because I went through a phase where I kind of got a bit slobby, and where you're just like, and I'm gonna say like I don't think there's anything wrong with having your trackies on or whatever, but it's when that's like every day,
Yeah.
it kind of slips into a bad habit. So for me now, if I look at my wardrobe and there's something where I'm like, oh, that's like for a night out or whatever, I'm like, I'm gonna wear that now.
Right.
Because the feeling
The
that you get
feeling.
when you put it on, it straight away you
Yeah.
elevate your frequency and you start to move differently. And one of my favorite hacks to do, and I did a video about this the other day, is if ever you're feeling like low vibration, right? And we all have those days. We all have those days. One of my favorite things to do is put on one of those outfits and do a little photo shoot.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God.
I see your content. I love it.
Within half an hour, like my energy is on fire because in that moment you are her, and you're
Yep.
bringing her energy into your reality right now. And that means that you're going to start thinking like her, you're going to start taking action like her, and you're going to start showing up like her. And that means that you're going to start magnetizing like her. And that's just
Yeah.
one of my favorite hacks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like photos, I know some people are like, you don't need the photo shoots, you don't need the website, you don't need the branding. And like, while that works for some people, that's so awesome for you. But it doesn't work for me. Like that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
one of the things, exactly what you're saying. When I get dressed up, like after this, I'm going to my favorite steakhouse across the street and I have my sparkly top on, but I'm gonna get all dressed up and go have lunch by myself because I want to. And
Nice.
it's doing those things like if you can't afford that, go get a coffee at a nice hotel or
Yeah,
like be in that energy. Like the photo shoots make me feel good, like you're saying. The website, the branding, like it's like a vibe. It's like, oh, I'm her. And it's like whatever like feels good to you to become her, the version you need to
exactly.
be grounded in, freaking do it. Like and I feel like some people are just like, I don't want to take pictures of myself, but you have to get over the fear of being seen and the fear of being heard because she, the millionaire you, does not give a fuck. She wants to
Yeah.
be seen and heard. She wants to be a celebrity. She wants to be known around the world. She wants to make a global impact. Like, I own it because you
Yeah.
didn't come here to play small. You came here to change the fucking world with your
Yes.
unique magic, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Like one thing that I'm really passionate about is like the women that are always told that they're too much, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's yeah, like oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was my story, and that's a lot of the women kind of in my orbit. That's their story, and that's why I just love working with them because that's me, right? That's who I've always been, and it's like that is your superpower. Like
Yes.
you don't get to 7, 8 figures without that energy of actually having the audacity or the kind of sheer gazumped that you're like, I'm gonna fucking own this. Like you have to have that to even
Yeah.
be kind of delusional enough to think that it's possible for you. Because otherwise it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's delusion. Like you have to I know like people are like, "Oh, delusion, oh, manifestation." It's real. You
Yeah.
literally are manifesting every second of your reality. And if you want what you are trying to if you want to accomplish the big thing, you have to be delusional. You have
Yeah.
to remember who you are and that you are her already. She is inside of you. You
Mm.
just locked her away and forgot through all the societal bullshit and all the limitations you placed on yourself, but you are her.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring her out and like show her to the world and stop being afraid. Like, just be you because you are going to feel so much lighter when you are just you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly that. Like you can't you if you're afraid now, and I say this a lot, if you're afraid now of posting, that reel or that video or doing that talk or whatever it is because of someone judging you or rejecting you or, saying something about you, how are you ever gonna cope with what comes when you're 7, 8 figures? Because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
gonna increase. So if you're saying, well, I don't want to do that now, the universe is hearing that and saying, well, obviously you don't want this success that you keep saying that you want then because you can't handle, what comes with it. You need
Yeah.
to you need
It's,
to be able to manage both.
yeah. And you have to like also another thing that's really important is the millionaire you doesn't care if she doesn't go viral. It doesn't care if
Mm,
she doesn't get likes, saves, shares. Like,
yes.
I don't have a ton of likes or stuff on some of my videos,
Oh,
and I have people paying me six figures in full.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need the people, but you have to become her and own that. Like, I post and I get offline. I see
Yeah.
your stuff sometimes, like on my feed, and I'll like it, but
Yeah.
like, I get offline. Like, I'm like, bye, I'm done. I'm gonna go help my people now.
Yeah.
And like, that's it. I don't want to consume. I don't need
And it's
to. I'm a
like, even if
creator.
you don't like it, this is again something that I think so many people forget. Like, you might look at a feed and not even like anything, but you've
Right.
clocked things, right? You're like, oh, I like her energy, or oh, she's in my vision now. Doesn't mean you're going to go and save it or comment on it or send a DM. Like, it's just in your kind of subconscious, ready for, whenever the time is right to do something about it next time. And so many people are so caught up in these, oh, I only got like 5 likes, or like, I don't get like, fuck all, I've
Right.
got an Instagram
Right.
anyway. But same as you, I post my stuff and I'm very in the moment. So when I have a download, I post it. That's why my energy is always like, because I
Yeah.
only do it when I feel like that. And then I come off because I don't
Yeah.
care who likes it. I know that my dream clients are probably not sat there scrolling and liking everything and trying to, muster me up. They're just watching behind the
Right.
scenes and they're just going to reach out when the time is right. So it's irrelevant how many likes or, saves or any of that stuff.
Yeah. It's and that's like goes back to the identity. It's what does she do that or does she not? And
Yeah.
that's why it's in every micro movement that you're making, every decision, every thought you have, are you being her? And that's where it gets like tricky because there's so many pieces. People want the end result like now. Like they're like, I'm ready, I want this, but it's like you have to ground in that identity fully before that reality is going to show up. That
Yeah.
reality is here right now for you. Like your life could change that quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, mine changed in 30 days, right? Crazy. But I also believed it was going to happen. And I took 3 years to become her before it actually happened, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, just enjoy the journey
Hmm.
because the more that you like stop enjoying your life and you're not excited every day to like serve and help people and create your magic that you want to do, like it's not going to work until you can just get over the end result and realize there is no end.
Yeah.
Like
Well, yeah.
every day it's like I'm like, okay, I think we're good with all these things now. And I think I can breathe for a minute. And I'm like, wait, no, I can't. Wait, I have to do this too. Wait, I want to do this. And it's just like, it never ends. It's never going to stop, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, I love what you said at the beginning about romanticizing your mornings. And I think, again, this is something that's been coming kind of into my vision recently about the whole romanticizing things. And where was I going with that? I got sidetracked and I saw something and caught in my eye. It's just like, I got ADHD. But yeah, like romanticizing your life right now, right? So being there's a saying my mentor uses, and it's 1 foot in gratitude and 1 foot in desire, and I love it because we need to be in the moment. We need to be grateful for what we have now because this is life right now, right? All we ever have is this present moment. So we need to be enjoying and experiencing this rather than always in the future. But
Yeah.
obviously having that aspiration and that motivation and that ambition to make that happen as well, so that we take those moves that will make it happen, but not
Right.
just wishing our lives away. Because I mean, I definitely fell into that. I was one of these people where I would always be feeling like time was running out constantly. Like, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. There's not enough time. It's not happening yet. It's not happening yet. Like, I'm doing all the things. Why is it not happening? And I look back now and I'm like, where the fuck did the last 10 years go? Because I was just constantly in the future, never ever happy with what I had now, even when I got to my highest point, about 350. And even in that moment, I was not content. I wanted more.
Mhm.
Although financially I was comfortable, I was stable, but because it wasn't my end goal, I was not happy. And I ended up self-sabotaging it and going down like a whole different path because I couldn't hold the wealth. But that's another story. But yeah, it's like we're never content with what we've got because we're always going to raise that bar. And no matter what level you reach, you're going to raise it again. You're going to raise it again for the next goal and constantly be in that desiring, but never in the gratitude.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that I work with are exactly they're going through exactly what you're saying. And so like I have a client who's at 50K months and it has been a struggle for her to really detach from she's like I want the 100K, I want the 100K and I was like you
Mm-hmm.
have to stop wanting it. Like look at what you have. Look at what you're able to do. Let's focus on who you need to be. And it was like in a conversation, I broke down like the energy leaks, right? Like these are the reasons why you're not there. Like here's the list, here's the laundry list of reasons. And it was like a whoa, like moment because people don't realize
Was it like tiny little things?
it was tiny things. And it was as simple, like, I mean, there was a lot of things, but
Yeah.
one of the simplest things was you're sleeping till 10 a.m. or 10 in the morning and you're stressing about time all day, kind of like what you were saying, like, where's the time going? and you're telling me that you're constantly like late to things. How about like get up a little earlier? How about like romanticize and create space for yourself? And
Mm.
she's like, I don't want to get up early. That sounds so stupid. Like, and then she did it and she's like, oh my God, I feel like I can breathe. And I'm like, yeah,
Duh.
yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? Like you had you time. You can
Yeah.
take a bath in the morning like you love. You can do the things that you want to do in the morning that is filling your cup, like so that you can hold the space for your clients and like actually be able to like over deliver. Because if you're exhausted, tired, running late, like you're not functioning, right?
Oh
You're
yeah.
no fucking way.
Yeah.
And it was just adding all these little things, removing like things that were no longer serving and getting grounded in that identity. And then like poof, there's the 100K months. Like there you go. Like
Yeah.
it's so much more simple than people think, but we're constantly overthinking it. We're constantly putting it on a pedestal instead of putting ourselves on the pedestal. Like
Yes.
take the fucking money and the end result off and
Yeah.
realize that you create the end result and the money from like what you're doing and who you're being. So
Yeah. Oh
like
my God, I literally
see,
did a post on that yesterday. It was like, everyone in the industry is like, everything I see is 10K months, how to make 10K months, 10K months, 10K months. And then
yeah.
everyone starts trying to replicate it because they think that this is the strategy that is getting these people the success that they see.
Oh my
And
God.
my whole point was you're trying to replicate the wrong fucking thing anyway. Like it's not the content or the strategy that is giving them the success. It's their embodiment of who they are that is creating that content that is giving them the success. So one, don't try and replicate people, but two, you're trying to replicate the wrong fucking thing in the first place. Like, and you can't replicate embodiment. You have to find it. You have to be it, and you
Right.
have to you have to live it.
Yeah. It's, you have to embody it. You have to live it. It's like whenever I've made a post this morning, I know you saw it about like stop like the $44 strategy
Yes.
that you're gonna go buy. Like, it's not gonna help you because it's not
Yeah.
gonna help you because you're not embodied in the 10K month that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like you
Because
have
someone
to
earning
find
10K months is not going to spend $44 on a whatever,
no,
little course.
no. Like for the 70th time, like they're not gonna buy another one. Like you're looking outside of yourself externally. Like
Yeah.
go within. You
Yes.
have the answers inside of you to what you want to do. And like maybe sit in quiet for like an hour with yourself and feel your feelings and ask yourself, ask your intuition, what do I want? What's my soul purpose? And usually it's going to be the most obvious thing to you. It's
Yeah.
going to be the thing that's been right in front of you the whole time. Like, what have you always admired other people doing? What have you been jealous of in your life of other people doing? And that's probably what you want to do. So
Yeah.
like sit with yourself and feel into it.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Do you think though, so something that's coming to my mind, and I talk about this a lot, and you probably do as well, is we have to create the intangible to create the tangible. So we're not going to see change before
Mhm.
we become change ultimately, and then that will create the manifestation of the external. But I think again, so many people get caught up, especially, kind of content, social media, all this kind of stuff of deliver the tangibles. Nobody wants intangibles. And basically everyone's getting caught up in this whole hype around something that is kind of backwards anyway, because we're selling something that isn't actually the solution, it isn't the answer. We're just kind of trying to paint this picture that we think people want because they don't value themselves or they don't think that they're capable enough to create it themselves, and that they have to be given this external validation, like you're saying, this thing that they're pedestaling outside of themselves, rather than someone saying, you know what, it's all in you, I can help you unlock it, but you have to create something that you're not going to see in order to see it. And it's
Right.
like, why don't we switch that up and start giving people the benefit of the doubt that actually they can believe in themselves enough to invest in that and to say, okay, I'm going to give it a go, right? Because everything else I've tried hasn't worked, so why not?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the people that are on the train buying that kind of stuff, they don't believe in themselves. Exactly what you're saying. They believe that there's an external answer. And so they're like, what can I buy that's going to get me to where I want to be?
Yeah.
I don't want to invest in that. She's talking a bunch of woo-woo shit. And it's like, no, the woo-woo shit is the shit that's going to actually get you what you want.
Yeah.
Like, you could have any strategy, like, once again, and you're going to be successful. But if you don't do the inner work, you don't do the identity shifts, it's not going to happen. Like, and it goes back to, even in your messaging, you could have the most solid messaging in the fucking world. Okay. But if your messaging isn't backed by your energetic frequency, if you're not embodied in it, if you don't believe in it, if you're not convicted in what you're saying, if you're not in alignment with your soul purpose, you're not going to call in your people, because it's not your real voice. It's not your authentic voice. It is a replication of all the other shit you hear from other people, because you're probably looking at everyone else's shit. And while some people's might look the same, the people that are seeing success, they're speaking from their heart and soul. They're speaking in alignment with all of the things. So while some people are like, my messaging looks just like this person, why isn't it working? Because you're not speaking in alignment with all those things. You are literally still not in your soul purpose. What do you actually want to do?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, it's like people get frustrated with themselves and then they quit because they can't figure out like what's that missing piece? Like, why does it work for everyone else? And it's like, that's why you have to come home to yourself first. That's why.
Yeah, exactly that. It's like we were saying earlier, like the person who's created that success, I think a lot of what happens as well is then obviously maybe they don't even realize that it wasn't a strategy, right? And then they're like, oh, this is what I did, so I can help other people do it with this strategy. And, with good intentions, I'm sure. But obviously that worked for them because it's them and because it was embodied. And like you said, it was in alignment with them. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else, because it's not. And so, again, we go back to that missing piece. And the missing piece is always you. And this is why so much of what I talk about is like, I can literally look at someone's page and I can tell straight away how much in their power they are. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's like 60, 70% that I see. And I'm like, where's the rest of it? Where is it? It's not here. You're not bringing it all. You're kind of keeping it in reserve. And that's that leak, like you're talking about, that just isn't out there. And so you're not as magnetic as you have the potential to be, because you're hiding it and you're dimming your light and you're watering down your words and what you want to say, and you're worried about what Aunt Jo might think, or all of this kind of stuff that we have going on in our minds. And actually, if you just said whatever the fuck you actually want to say, because most of the time you do know what you want to say, you just don't think you should say it, and just do it, just do the thing in your pure kind of authentic rawness, that is the stuff that makes you magnetic.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's like, when the stuff that you're not saying is the very thing that you need to say in order to attract the clients that you want to work with. Like, if you're holding back your content that like makes you stand out, makes you different, it's what you believe to be true about your industry, the world, your niche, whatever it is. You can, if you don't say that stuff, you're leaving out the juiciest piece of the puzzle. You're leaving out your magic, and you're like just confined to your pillars and your niche. And it's like, you are the niche, you are the algorithm, you are everything. But like, if you're leaving that piece out, that is the biggest piece. And it's exactly what you said. People are afraid to, what's Aunt Jo gonna think? What's this person? Who cares what anyone thinks? Who cares if people unfollow you? It's making room for the right people to come in.
Exactly.
But like, you have to shift your beliefs. It's every single little piece. It's every belief. It's all the things. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so amazing. I feel like I could talk to you forever. I just looked at the clock and was like, shit, has it been that long already?
I know.
Oh my God, this has been so amazing. So much gold in this. And for you guys listening, like, let this sit for like 24 hours and then listen to this again. because there are so many nuggets that have come up in this, and allow yourself to get activated the first time, sit with it, come back and see what lands the second time. Because I can't even, like, I blacked out through most of that. I'm like, I don't even know what we talked about, but that was so good. It was so good. So yeah, make sure that you guys give that the resource and the time and the expansion that it needs to land in your life, because that was absolute gold. Mariel, thank you so much for joining me. Where can everyone find you should they feel called?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. And I am manifester.mariel on TikTok and Instagram. Or you can look at my website, which is millionairemindsetbymariel.com. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me.
I love it. I did not know you did TikTok as well.
Oh, that's where I am mostly.
Is it? Oh, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to find you on there now.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me, Han. All of the links will be in the show notes below, so you can go and head there and check out Mariel on all of the platforms. And until next time, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.